Hello everyone, and in the following video I'm going to be talking about the informative speech that you're going to be giving and breaking it down a little bit more. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to read this prompt. Let me just go over it to reiterate a few things. So first and foremost, what you're doing when you do informative speaking is you are conveying information in a clear way. A lot of times when people think about public speaking, they think about persuasive speaking. Now, persuasive speaking is when you try to motivate your audience or get your audience to take a particular side on an issue. But what we're doing with informative speaking, right, is we are conveying information in a clear way. So this is like when you think of a teacher who is teaching a class, when you think of a coach, or if you're training someone at your job, you are doing a kind of informative speaking, right? You're conveying information in a clear way. So in this 5 to 7 minute extemporaneously delivered speech, that's key. 5 to 7 minutes, so you want it to fit that time frame. Oftentimes with informative speeches, because you're picking something that you know or you have a lot of information about, we have a tendency to talk longer than that. So pick something that's the right size, that's nice and simple to convey information to your audience in a clear way. So in this 5 to 7 minute extemporaneously delivered speech, now that's also important, extemporaneously delivered. Extemporaneous is the kind of delivery that you're going to be giving for all your remaining speeches in our class. Extemporaneous means that your speech is practiced and prepared and delivered from brief notes. Practiced and prepared and delivered from brief notes. It is not manuscript delivery. Now, manuscript delivery is when you read word for word and it has its place. But what we're going to be doing in here is extemporaneous delivery. And extemporaneous is the best delivery for the kind of speaking that you're going to do when you speak to, a small group of people or, 25 people in an audience. You're not going to be reading a manuscript. So some of you with your introductory videos seem to be reading a little bit, and so you don't want to be reading. You want to talk to us. So in this 5 to 7 minute extemporaneously delivered speech, you're going to inform your audience about a topic related to the communities in and around Las Vegas. So part of a good general education is looking at yourself in context, looking around the world and saying, oh, this is where I am, this is where I'm located. And it's also taking inventory of what you already know and experiences you've already had. So you want to do that. What are some local topics that you know a lot about? How do you spend your time? What is your job? And pick a topic that you can share with us where you convey information in a clear way. Building on basic components from the introductory video, this should say, where essentially what you did with the introductory video is you gave a very brief, short, informative speech about yourself. That's very similar to what you're doing here. This speech should effectively communicate information to an audience in an organized and comprehensible manner. So again, you want to teach us something. You don't want to confuse us. Confusing us would be the opposite of the goals of an informative speech. Speeches should use one of the following approaches, and I'll get more into this with some more lectures, but the speech should use one of the following approaches. So demonstrate and provide instructions for a process. Often in other public speaking classes, they'll literally do like a how-to, like how to make lasagna, how to make 7-layer dip. And we're interested in more like local topics, but you could also teach us how to do something locally, how to go rock climbing locally, how to catch the bus, how to use public transportation in Las Vegas, right? Those are all acceptable and would definitely work. And you're explaining a process. Or you could also give a description of a place, object, or event. And most people, for their informative speech, pick something along these lines. So if there's a hotel that you know a lot about, you want to tell us about New York, New York, or you want to tell us about the Luxor, or you want to tell us about Fremont, the Fremont experience, right? Those are all acceptable topics. Or Red Rock Canyon, right? The things we can do at Red Rock Canyon, or 3 aspects of Red Rock Canyon, are all acceptable topics. You could also talk to us about an event, right? Tell us about some event that occurs. There's the Las Vegas Drift, right, which is like a car show. There's EDC, the Electric Daisy Carnival. There is iHeartRadio Festival or Life is Beautiful Festival. Lots of events that happen in Las Vegas that you could share with us that would be perfectly acceptable for your informative speech. Even right now, right, is the NBA Summer League, which would also be a great topic. You could also present a report about a person or issue. So I've gotten good speeches on like local celebrities or famous people that have come out of Las Vegas. You really want to just pick one person or one issue to focus on, right, to meet the time frame. I got a good speech on Bryce Harper, who's a great baseball player, professional baseball player, who went to CSN for a year. And so, yeah, anything like that. A famous band would definitely work that you'd want to share with us about. You could also focus on an issue, the issues related to like homelessness or, water issues in the valley would also be acceptable. You want to be a little careful here because we're not being persuasive yet. So you don't necessarily need to solve the problem, but you could go into depth about the problem, which would definitely be good for an informative speech. You could talk about violence in Vegas or crime in Las Vegas, if that's an issue, right, that you want to explore. You could also explain a concept. I got a good speech, informative speech on the 7 deadly sins in Las Vegas, and she focused on like 3 sins and how we could explore those sins in Las Vegas because hey, it's a city of sin. It was like what'd she focus on? Like gluttony, lust, and greed, right? And how we could explore, or we could like engage all of those in Las Vegas. It actually was a good concept, informative speech with a local connection. So those are kind of the choices that you have. Again, you want to pick something related to Las Vegas, and it could also be regional. A regional topic is fine. If we could drive there, so Zion or those kinds of topics would also be totally fine. So what are we doing? You're conveying information in a clear way. You should prepare 2 outlines for this speech, and really it's the full sentence, full content outline that is going to be a 40-point outline. So you want to make sure that you do a good outline at that. I would definitely check out the sample outlines up on Canvas, particularly the sample outline by Sarah Putnam on the Titanic, and how she has all of the parts fully labeled. And that is your big full content, full sentence outline. That is worth 40 points. Remember to do your outlines. You could be a great speaker and not do your outlines, and you miss out on a lot of points. I'll talk more about this in another video. So you're crafting 2 outlines. You're crafting your full sentence, full content outline. And what's the second one? The second one is your notes on your note cards. So those are the 2 outlines, the full sentence, full content outline, and the notes on your note cards. Now, these should be based on the same system, right? You shouldn't need both of these to give your speech, right? You should need only your note cards to give your speech. Now, it shouldn't come out of the blue because it should have the same information as this, just in a more concise way to jog your memory. It could also consist of keywords and quotes, particularly quotes that you want to get right. You don't want to misquote anyone. That's fine to have on your note cards. Along with proving to me that you have 9 people in your audience, you should also pan your note cards to show me that you don't have your whole speech written word for word on your note cards. Again, that kind of speaking is manuscript delivery. That's not the kind of delivery you should be crafting and working on in our class. You should be working on extemporaneous delivery, practice and prepared from brief notes. This is also different from extemporaneous delivery, where you're just coming up with it off the top of your head, right? It's practiced and prepared. You may use up to 4 3x5 inch note cards. It's fine if they're a little bit bigger. That's fine. I can't see, so bigger note cards are also fine. You're going to upload the full sentence, full content outline on the day that you speak. You don't have to print it out because we are not convening as a class. You should also have 3 outside reputable sources. And have a little works cited down at the bottom of your outline, connected to your outline. for those 3 sources. So that means that 3 times during your speech, I should hear you say, according to Jack Johnson in his February of 2016 article entitled Keeping the Water, he says that water in the valley, and 89% of water in the valley is being reused. Something like that, right? So 3 times during your speech, you should mark outside sources. I should be able to hear that. So one of the things with public speaking is because you are speaking, the assumption is that the words coming out of your mouth are your own. And so you need to really mark that, where you got your information, if it's not your own information, and where you got your outside sources from. So I should be able to hear that 3 times during your speech. Getting further into topic selection, again, picking a topic that's the right size, that meets the 5 to 7 minute requirement. So enough to talk about for 5 minutes and not more than enough to exceed the 7 minutes. Again, often with informative speaking, because we know so much, we often, you'll pick a topic where you need like 15 or 20 minutes to convey all the information that you've picked. And so, again, pick something small, clear, simple, that's easy for us to understand, that you know a lot about, and it should be a good speech. Again, here are some more examples of each of the different types of speech. So if you did a process, again, you could do how to use Las Vegas transportation, how to knowledgeably vote for numerous judges on Nevada ballots. Yeah, I recently voted, and I was confused about all the judges, right? I didn't do my homework. And so make sure, you teach us like how we could find out information about the judges, for example. Yeah, again, a place or an event would also be great. So here's an event, the unique cultural contributions of First Friday. Of course, a wonderful local event that happens the first Friday of each month that you could talk to us about and teach us about would be a great topic. The Moulin Rouge, the Las Vegas's first racially integrated casino, a very important historical casino. Anything in Las Vegas's history that you'd like to talk about would be wonderful topic. You could also present a report about a person, issue, or explain a concept. Right here are examples of this: the truth about Bugsy Siegel in Las Vegas, right? The mobster and his ties to Las Vegas. Or if there's another person you'd like to talk about, absolutely great topic. Las Vegas, the ninth Hawaiian island. How Las Vegas was and still is a big place for Hawaiian immigrants, and the connection, the history of all that. Wonderful topic. So again, pick something local, and you're going to want to have 3 outside sources where we hear you say that where you got your information. Now I'll talk more about how to actually structure and organize this speech in some more videos, but you definitely want to have a good introduction, body, and conclusion. Introduction, body, and conclusion with clear transitions between each one, right? In your introduction, you're going to want to accomplish these 5 major tasks. The first thing is you're going to want to have a kind of attention getter, a way to grab our attention, which I'll talk more about. The second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to establish a local connection or give a reason to listen to your audience. The third thing you're going to want to do is lay out your thesis, right? And that is just a 1-sentence breakdown of what your speech is about. Then you're going to convey your ethos or your expertise, your personal experience with the topic, why you know about this topic, right? Ethos is why you are credible about the topic. And then you're going to preview your main points. So first, I will talk about the food at First Friday. Second, I will discuss some of the art at First Friday. And finally, I will discuss the prices, or the money that you might be most likely spend at First Friday. That third topic's lame. But yeah, so, grab our attention is the first thing you're going to do. The second thing you're going to do is give us a reason to listen. Why should a local audience care? about your topic. The third thing you're going to do is clearly state your thesis. The fourth thing you're going to do is tell us your personal experience with the topic. And the fifth thing you're going to do is you're going to preview your main points. Okay? And so getting into the organization of the speech, and I'll get more into depth of each of these, but you also want to have a clearly organized body of your speech, and there's different stock or sort of generic ways to organize the body of your speech. Chronological, which of course is like beginning, middle, and end, or first, second, and third. If you're teaching us how to do something and you've broken it down into steps, right, it's most likely going to be a chronologically organized speech. If you're talking about an object or a region or a hiking trail, you might organize it spatially with how you talk about it. Or if you're talking about the stratosphere and you're talking about the outside of the stratosphere and then the inside of the stratosphere, you organize it spatially. If you're talking about the causes and effects of something, like the causes and effects of homelessness, or getting into the issues related to water, issues in the valley, right, you might look at the causal or cause and effect kind of organization for the body of your speech. Problem solution, I think, would be more if you were doing a persuasive speech, particularly where you're going to solve the problem, right? You're like, here's the problem of crime in the valley, and here's how we're going to solve it, right? Or here's the problem of drug addiction and gambling in the valley, and here's how we're going to solve it. That would be more a good organization for a persuasive speech. By far, the most common way to organize a speech is topically. Topically. And what topically means is three little subpoints related, or little subpoints, doesn't have to be three, related to your larger topic. So for example, and this is just a basic example, if my topic is shoes, how would I organize my shoes? I could organize my shoes by type. So I have my like dress shoes, my basketball shoes, and my running shoes, right? So it's like I've organized them by type according to my purpose, right? And so that is like three little subtopics related to shoes that fit into my larger topic. Yeah, type is also topical. So three types of something would also be topical. And this is the most common way to organize an informative speech. Three little topics, right? And that's actually what we did for First Friday, right? So I like to organize my body points with like 2 or 3 points because again, you don't have that much time and you want to keep it nice and simple. So, if I was talking about Red Rock Canyon, I might say first I'll talk about the geography of Red Rock Canyon. Second, I'll talk about some of the plants that you might see at Red Rock Canyon, and finally I'll share with you 2 of my favorite hiking trails. Something like that. So you got these 3 little topics related to your larger topic. You should definitely know what strategy you're using. And it should be very clear how you have the body organized. Okay, is this chronological? Is this topical, etc. Right? So if you're talking about the history of Fremont Street, right? It should be chronological, right? First, you talk about how Fremont Street was established, Fremont Street. Second, you would discuss, Fremont Street in the 60s and 70s, and I guess it was really rough down there. And then Fremont Street being revitalized in the 90s through to today, something like that, right? I don't know when it was revitalized, but that's obviously chronological, right? So have a very clear structure to your speech. And again, structure is everything in informative speaking, and I'll talk more about that in some more videos. And then you're going to want to have a conclusion, and in your conclusion, you're going to review your main points, right? Well, first of all, you're going to signal the end. So like today, I told you about Fremont Street. First, we talked about this. Second, we talked about this. Third, we talked about this. So you're going to have a signal the end. You're going to review your main points, restate your thesis, and then close with something memorable. Now, we call this close with impact. Close with impact. Restate thesis. Review main points, restate thesis, close with impact. Yeah. And so you want to go out with something memorable, just like you did where you began your speech by getting our attention. You want to close with something strong. Close with something strong. So that's a little bit about how to organize it. And again, I'll get into more of that as we go. In terms of style, you're going to want to think of this, use kind of formal language like you would in a business setting. but you also want to keep in mind that your audience is a novice audience. So you are an expert based on your ethos, based on the knowledge that you have with the topic, but we as an audience don't know what you know. And so you want to work on ways to clearly give examples and alternative phrasing for your audience to better understand, right? Because we don't know what you know, you have to break it down for us. So compare difficult ideas to more familiar ones. And then this is key. I'd put an asterisk next to this. Avoid using jargon without offering explanation, right? So because you are knowledgeable on your topic, you know things that we don't know. You're going to know phrases and acronyms and things, say if your major is nursing, right? You're going to know things about nursing that we don't know. Or if you played a sport, right? And, somebody says, hey, you're in the hole. And you're like, oh, wait, I'm in the hole. Like, what does that mean that I'm in the hole, right? It means that you're on deck to be on deck. And you're like, hey, what does it mean to be on deck, right? It means that you're next up. And so to bat, right? So be very clear about avoiding jargon. Define your jargon. So this is what I mean by ABCs. I mean airway, breathing, and circulation, right? When I'm talking about CPR, right? So be very, very clear. Define your jargon. Again, you're going to know jargon terms because you know more about your topic than us. Avoid using vague and abstract language. Definitely. This has its place in especially like a persuasive speech where you're trying to win us over with language. But here you want to be clear and concrete in an informative speech. Personalize your speech in order to connect with the subject to the audience. Definitely. Connect it to us, connect it to yourself. Choose vocabulary carefully. And use repetition and redundancy to drive home ideas, right? So again, you can repeat and help us remember, help us learn. Strive to make the speech interesting and creative. And these are all examples from chapter 15, I believe, the Speaking to Inform chapter. Memory. So again, the kind of delivery that you're going to be doing is extemporaneous on note cards, not reading word for word, right? So getting in the habit of extemporaneous mode of delivery. What it means is you have to prepare a lot to get that kind of delivery down. Then you're going to want to have good eye contact, hand gestures, vocal variety, volume, right? Can I clearly hear you? Are you articulating in a clear way? And so for now, we're also just seeing where you're at with that, with this first speech. But that's really the breakdown of what I'm going to be looking at with this speech is, picking a topic that is local, having good structure, citing 3 sources, and I'll get more into breaking these individual parts down further. And then really, avoiding jargon, right? Because you are an expert and because you want to convey information in a clear way, explain your terms. Explain terms that we might not know. And so I think this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to take inventory of what you know on a local level and to share that knowledge with an audience. So have fun with it. I'll be talking more about different components of the speech as we go. For now, the topic and main points are due Tuesday evening. That is Tuesday, July 10th. And I'll be giving you feedback on that. And as of right now, this speech is going to be due Friday evening. And so you want to start getting going on it. Really pick your topic and start to work on your outline is what I would say is the most important thing. And so, it should be a great speech. Looking forward to hearing about all your informative topics as they come in. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.